And hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, ladies. I'm Taylor Thompson, live here in the She Network where we share her excellence. And I have my beautiful guest here, Miss Aundrea De Leon. So we're going to share her story, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about how women in business, how we can simplify, how we can really take and equip you and make things really simple for you and your business, not just from a personal aspect, but really how do you translate that into the business world? And so I have my special guest here today. So as you ladies are coming on, please say hello. Please say hi. We want to hear from you. We want to say hi. If this is your first time on, please drop a 1 and let us know. And if you're on a regular here, so please say hi to us. I missed you guys last week. Andrea's supposed to be here last week, but I have to tell you, my husband, my amazing husband, dropped it was our anniversary. It was his birthday last Monday, and he surprised me with a special beach getaway. I was so happy. Ladies, do you know how fun it is? We've been married 16 years. I've never, ever had him plan anything. It's always been me. You know, that's what we do. We plan all the details of life. And to have that done for you, I felt like a queen. So I just want to thank you for allowing me that freedom and flexibility to miss last week. But we're back. We're back in the saddle again. So please say hi. Please drop in and say hello. But Aundrea, I keep wanting to say.
It's okay. Aundrea, close enough.
How are you today?
I am good. I don't think I'm as warm as where you are.
Where you're in Minnesota?
I'm in Colorado.
Colorado.
Yep. And we're having what we call roller coaster spring.
Oh, it's whenever you have snow and then sun and snow and sun, Yeah. I don't think I could live in Colorado. I mean, but I live in Texas. So everybody knows that we did have the Texas tundra this year.
You did.
It was quite a wild ride, to say the least, but we got through it, and it's probably 65, 70 today. So I am blessed and highly favored. I miss that.
You're much warmer. Yep. We have family down by Houston. So we heard all about the Texas tundra. What an event. So
yeah. So, okay, well, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what's happening. Let's talk about, how did you get here? How did you get to this space of being an entrepreneur and, really serving ladies in the business world? How did you get here?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I tell everybody I was the world's most reluctant entrepreneur because I never had aspirations of being a business owner.
You know what? Okay, let that right there, that sentence alone, there is, I would believe every lady watching here, they never saw themselves doing what they're currently doing.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I think that's true of all of us, to be honest with you. So I think everybody can connect with that sentence right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I tell people I was blissfully blind in the corporate world, blissfully, happily living my life in the corporate world. I was an IT professional in leadership. And so I worked in the IT world for 20 years, a little bit longer than that. And I never imagined business. In fact, I did some business side hustle things, et cetera. And I think when I did them, it was always, well, if it works, it'll prove to me that I can be in business, but nothing really ever did. Yeah. And then what happened is at my last formal corporate role, the company closed down, and I spent almost a full year closing a company down, laying off teams, watching people walk out the door, turning the light switches off on systems, offices, things like that. And something sort of switched off in me at that time too, that I didn't realize. And it was, I couldn't see myself. Everybody else was going off and doing interviews and getting their next gig. And I actually had an interview and a job offer for another company that I turned down because I couldn't see myself walking down that path any further.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it is okay. So, but first of all, let's talk about your family. You're
I'm a breadwinner. I am the primary supporter. I'm a mom of 4. I'm married, been married 22 years. Right. And so for me, corporate life was not just what I did, it's who I was. And it's how, right. It's how how I provided for family. Right. So my family depended on me.
You were the primary breadwinner. So, I mean, that had to have taken a lot of courage. Like, first of all, we talk about it in network marketing, especially like if you start as a side gig or a side hustle, like the extra money because you like the products, and then it starts evolving. Everybody's like, okay, so when do I go full time, or when do I, make the transition? I there's something in your story of what you said there to first of all, to have the responsibility as a woman to be the breadwinner is a big one. Among the four, that's a lot of pressure. I don't think women are designed to have that kind of pressure, to be honest with you, financial pressure.
It's a lot.
You to say, I don't know if this is who I am or who I really connect to being anymore. That's very insightful. So let's talk about that piece, because, we're so relational, and, that's a big bridge to cross.
Yeah. Well, and it is a big bridge, because if you think about it, I mean, for women you're running a business, you just even said it when you're like, your husband planned a trip, and women, it's never happened. We're planners. Yes. We plan everything, right? And in the IT world, that's really how that's how I ran, and it's funny because I'd come home, my husband would yell at me. I heard these words multiple times: Aundrea, you can't project manage everything. And I'm like, watch me, right? Because it is the home, the kids. And it was funny because looking back, I would have never thought that I was a person with anxiety or depression, right? But what it was is I call it high achievers hangover, right? It's that holding the hat together of holding the team and the people together at work, and then coming home and going, okay, I've got to hold this together too.
And that's what we do. And as women, it doesn't matter. And that's one reason why I wanted to create this group, is because women are I love it, like project managers. They really are we are constantly resourcing for our family, for our children as moms, for our husbands, like we were just having this conversation about passports. Like, it's not my passport I'm dealing with Larry's passport, right?
Yes.
Yes. Of everything else I'm juggling. We do that as moms. So we have to be project managers. So, but I just, the stress of it, I can't even imagine how that must have felt for you.
It was really stressful, and I was not prepared for the identity crisis that came. Because, right, starting a business, it's not always easy. And I didn't have a plan, and I hadn't been planning it. It kind of happened. And then here I was in this transition. And I'm used to having a plan, a runway, a roadmap, right? Even if I don't know how to do it, here's kind of like the map. And I like, okay, I can figure out these steps, and I can figure out resources. And going out into the business world is like, especially the entrepreneur world, right? It's a free for all. Everybody has do it this way, do it this way, do it this way, right? And everybody has their opinion of what do it this and do it that. And it's hard to find. I think the hardest thing is finding how you want to show up in it and how you want to work through it.
It's so true. It really doesn't matter what business you're in, whether you're in traditional business, brick and mortar business, network marketing business, especially women, because they're looking for, I always call it the magic dust.
Yeah.
Right? and we're looking for a pattern. We're looking for, and here's what most women, I think, really disconnect with, because what works for you, or what could work for you, or what you're watching other women work for, you're not connecting with it because of, it's not your personality. It's not your set of circumstances. It's not, you can't connect with it. And so you start questioning yourself. You start going through the self-doubt. You start so
much.
It really is a pioneering process. And whether you're in network marketing and there is a pattern or there is a structure, you still have to have your own unique personality and do it in a way that works for you, that you'll keep doing it.
Yep, exactly.
Or you
Exactly.
want
That's the biggest thing is when I see people setting goals or even right business owners setting goals and stuff, they're seeing it as that's what I should do. And when it works, then I'll believe that I'm there, that I'm at, right?
Yeah.
And it's that inability to put ourselves in the process of becoming that, right? And it is, and it's that, does that work for me? Does that energy work for me? Does that process work for me? Does that language work for me? Right. And so we kind of, and I've seen myself do it. I've seen so many other people do it. It's like, well, they're doing it. And I went through this too. It's like, well, they're doing it. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do it too? When it wasn't the right thing for me, or it wasn't the right way, or it wasn't the right.
Yeah.
And I think women, especially because we're so good at putting our needs second and third,
Sure.
to be mom, to be wife, to be business runner, or, corporate executive, et cetera. We're used to putting ourselves second and third. So we do that in business too. We go, well, I should just shut up and follow, or shut up and do, when really, when business becomes like personal, right? There are days where I'm like, why can't I just be numb and go back to 9 to 5? I wish I could be asleep again. Right. But I wouldn't trade that for the world. But there are days like that you're like, why you have to bring yourself into it. You have to be part of the equation. Otherwise it's a struggle. It can work. I don't say it doesn't work. I've seen, right. But eventually something falls apart. Something breaks.
Yeah.
Right.
So talk us through like how you got to this, on this journey, I mean, and finding yourself, because whenever you say you lose the identity, I think so many times, women do lose who they are and what their value are, and they don't realize, they don't really connect with what their true value really is.
Yep.
And they lose sight of that, and they shrink back from their excellence.
Exactly. And I would so here's some things that I learned, right? So I worked really hard for 3 years not to ever be a coach. And now I became a coach, but here, I don't regret the journey. I went through and learned a lot of different skills. So I started with like Reiki and energy healing. Then I moved into hypnotherapy. Then I moved, right. And I kind of moved through. And what I realized is I was going on into a really in-depth personal journey. Really to understand my thoughts, my emotions, my behaviors, right. And so as I was learning these things and then helping and supporting others with those same tools, et cetera, we often, I kind of come back to, I'm gonna come back to my technology example. We don't realize the machine that we're running, right? We do not realize the machine that we're running. And what we're often running, right? Just like if you're running an Android phone or an iPhone, we're running a series of systems and programs. And when we decide that we want to make these changes in our life, I want to be a business owner, I want to do this, we forget to stop and go, okay, what programs have I been running that will work for that? And what will be in conflict with that?
And whenever you say programs, you're actually talking about
mindset. Yep. Right. I have to be right. So a lot of times it's, well, if I am giving my time to this business and I'm taking time away from my kids, that makes me selfish.
Yes. This is okay. This right here is really, really good. And it's a conversation that I don't think enough women really truly have or really get. Because whenever you think about what programs are you running, everybody talks about mindset. Everybody talks about like how powerful mindset, and people are, they're looking at books and they're reading books and they're listening to podcasts and they're watching YouTube and
mindset's really easy. Mindset is really easy. Let's make it simpler. Mindset is, what are your habits?
Oh, okay.
That's it. Mindset is really, what are your habits, right? So if your habits are take care of my kids, take care of my husband, right? Your mindset is, I'm a carer. I must take care of everyone else first. That's real simple.
Yeah.
Right? Let's make it simple. Let's not complicate it and do et cetera, right? What are your habits? And then how will you feel? What does it feel like if you decide you want to change that?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because then if you, right. So we love familiarity. We love to do what's familiar because we're good at it. So when we're doing something different, we're in the unfamiliar zone. Right. So and you talked about, I'm sure the women too, when you make this leap and go, I want to do this, you just think, I'm just going to do something different, right? I'm just going to start a business, or I'm going to run a business, right? It's not a big deal. It's just something, it's just a new goal. We're not prepared for the Pandora's box of insecurity that comes flying up underneath of us.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Going, why are you doing that? And so that's where I think that's what that, what that is understanding, why do I think and feel the way I feel? And where did I learn to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So good. It's so good because I think like whenever I think back on like my own network marketing journey, and I think I think this could be cookie cutter for anybody, that you see somebody else having success and you're like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then whenever you actually have to do it, then you're like, what? Wait. Right now, that's a little uncomfortable. I'm not sure about that. So then we start questioning all of this to your unfamiliarity.
Yeah.
Familiar.
Yeah. This is real unfamiliar.
The change.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And change. And we do the things that we do because survival, right? Women are really, safety and survival is like, I didn't realize this until I learned this. And it was amazing, is that for women, mm-hmm. right? Look every day. I want you to look at every day online. How many times do you feel like there's a creeper, or you got a friend request from a guy, or this or that, right? Going to the grocery store, we look. Did I park under a light? Is there people? Do I go to a familiar store because I know the people, right? Women, we live in safety zone 90% of our life all the time. Am I safe?
Literally just happened to me. This literally just happened to me this weekend. I was at a wedding. I was in a hotel. I had to park in the back of the hotel. There was no valet, which I was really shocked about. I had to park in the back. And so there was an open parking place right beside this white van. And I'm like, I started to pull in there and I'm like, no. The lights blinked on the van, like the outside. I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, if it just freaked me out. Like, I mean, I had to call somebody I had to call one of my daughters. You have to come out here and watch me walk to you.
Right. Safety is a big issue for us. Right. Yeah. And I didn't realize this until I understood female brain, male brain, right? Instinct versus human aspiration, right? At the end of the day, like, if you strip away all of our technology and all of our computers and makeup and right? We're mammals. We are human beings. We're mammals first. So we have these basic instincts. And it was the most amazing thing when I learned that for women, our basic need is we need to be safe. Mm-hmm. Am I safe? And our brain and our emotions and everything are constantly navigating to us and telling us what's going on, right? So if I'm going to do this business, right, we see that, right? We see this picture of someone, right? Taylor can do this. That means I can do it too. Then we start doing it and all these emotions start coming up and these insecurities. And then our brain goes, oh, you're not safe. Let me help you not want to do it anymore or fight, right? All this stuff. We have this innate need to be safe, but it's not just our safety. We want to keep our community safe too. Our kids, right? Our home, right? And if that is threatened, we will do anything and everything to make sure.
That's why I'm really, whenever you said, like, you're the breadwinner, you've got 4 kids.
Yeah.
And you decided to walk away from this.
Oh my God.
The safety net of a job.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
A huge step. Like, that's why I was like, I wanted to stay on that subject because I think it's such kudos to you for stepping out of that safety zone.
It's a big, scary zone. And it's interesting, right? I think it was I hit that point. I don't know whether so I failed at it miserably for the first 9 months. Like, I really failed miserably at it. But it was interesting. It was like one of those things where you kind of get this switch flips off and you go, but I can't go back.
So, but here's the thing. I mean, like, right? I want you to not say that because you did not fail.
Well, I didn't fail because I'm still here, right? I called it my failing forward year.
Yes.
Right?
But
I love it because I learned lessons along the way. Every step I learned a lesson along the way. And it was like, oh, here's what I need next. Here's what I need next. Here's what I need next.
my acronym for fail is first attempt I learn.
Well, my acronym is what is my for failure? Oh, further awareness and information learned.
Ah, okay. See, so
Right?
yeah,
Similar, right? Because I learned something from it. I saw something, experienced something I wouldn't have otherwise.
yes.
Right?
You know, and for women, again, this is most women would not be willing to put themselves out there to even have the opportunity to fail.
Yeah.
That's uncomfortable and that's not secure.
Yeah, safety is a big, yeah, it is. And if I'm not safe, and for women, the big thing is if I'm not safe, if my physical, mental, emotional space is not safe, I don't care if you love me. I don't have time for love. Right? Which is why if the house isn't clean or things aren't organized, that's some of our safety zone a bit. Right? My ship is running how I like it to run. And if it's not, I don't want to be cuddled in this, that. I want stuff done. And in business too, we get there and we kind of sort of become this tug of war of, well, I haven't done it yet, or I haven't hit that goal yet, or haven't done that thing yet. So I don't deserve the accolades and to that.
No, and I think this is a bit the imposter kind of syndrome. You know, we don't measure up and we haven't arrived.
Yeah.
You know, so we don't deserve to have that conversation. You're not worthy to be on this stage or be on this platform or what all of those
all the stories
Yeah.
And so we have to, it's kind of like, it's about falling in love with the process of it, not waiting for the destination.
So
right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like here's the thing, like we always are looking to arrive and not, I always say, like, you're not smelling the roses, right? You're not enjoying the journey.
Exactly.
You know, you're not I always, you know, one of my mentors, I love Joyce Meyer, you know, she was like, you know, one of the things that I love that she says, you know, I'm not where I thought I would be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes we look at where we're not instead of look how far we've come.
Yep.
And look how much we've grown. And we don't look at those pieces and celebrate those moments. And we only look at what we haven't done.
Yeah.
And so I think this is such a very valuable conversation, especially for women in this group. So so you went through this hypnosis, the Reiki, all of these things. You fought, I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to be a coach. Like, you know, like
I know. Like I did.
So how did you succumb?
My clients. I had to listen to my clients.
Mm.
And you know, my clients kept leading me to the next thing. Here's what we need. Here's what we need. Here's what we need. And also that listening piece, right? Of where do we want to be in that journey? Right.
So how did you get your clients? How did you create that following? How did you, because as being an employee, then being an entrepreneur, now you are the employee and the employer at the same time.
Yeah.
So how did you create that tribe? How did you create that following? How did you get to that place to where they said, okay, this is what I want? I mean,
yep. Yeah.
I mean, what did you do?
I tried a lot of different things. So of course, right, I did what everybody else does. I went to networking groups and, you know, networked with people, took opportunities to speak at groups, right? Speaking has always been a thing. So I took time to be a speaker. And then I had to learn how to speak to people in a different language, right? In this space. Online and in different forums. And so that was right. I think that's the double-sided thing of business ownership. You have to decide who you are and what you want to do, right? What journey you want to ride on. And then you have to speak that into who does that serve, right? How does that serve them? What problem does it solve for them? And so we're always kind of going back and forth between this tug of war. And so I call it like a step-by-step journey. First, I had to learn what I wanted to do. Then as I started doing it, I had to learn I didn't know what a sales conversation was. I didn't even know what a sales process was. Somebody said I was at an event for a woman that does speaking, but she's also a body language expert, Linda Clemens. I don't know if you know of her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at one of her events, and she was talking about, your sales conversation and how you guide people through a sales conversation. And I was in this room of really smart women, all in different phases of success. And I raised my hand and I went, what's a sales conversation? Nobody's ever said that to me before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And she was like she literally got out the book of basics. Here's a sales conversation. And I went, oh, why didn't anybody ever teach me that I needed that? Right. And what that meant. And so then I went and I'm like, oh, I need a coach who helps me find my voice and have a sales conversation that matches my client that would come, my ideal client, and that I can have a conversation with people about what their problem is and whether there's something I have to serve them with or not.
Well, so I love this piece right here, what you're sharing with me in this realm, because women will typically be intimidated by their environment that wouldn't have raised their hand to not make themselves vulnerable enough in that moment, in that space, to say, I don't know. Tell me what this is.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it was real scary. I mean, first of all, she's a world-renowned body language expert. I mean, world-renowned. People fly her everywhere. And I had to suck it up and say, you can sit here and nod your head and be a yes girl and just follow along. But I think that event was really kind of at a pivotal point.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of what felt like catastrophic failure at the moment. It wasn't, but I was really at a very, very low point. And it was, I'm here for a reason. There's something to be taken from this. I can either just take what people are giving me from this, or I can ask for what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it was scary. And I had to risk an exposure. And there were people in that room that live in my community that are in my and networking groups. And I had to be honest and vulnerable. But I also had to go, okay, if I have this question, somebody else has to have this question.
Absolutely. Too. Absolutely. Because the reality is that you were the one that were like, oh my God, I'm so glad she asked that question, because they didn't have the courage to do so and put themselves out there. I love that. I love that kind of vulnerability, because that's really whenever we grow, whenever we're willing to make ourselves like really out there and vulnerable. So what did you do with that information? How was that pivotal for you in your business?
What that really, it let me know, it gave me pieces of the puzzle, right? Business is about process and steps of the puzzle, right? And what it really let me know is, oh, here's how you get people to give you money. Right?
Okay.
Here's how you get people to give you money. So I said, great, here's what I need next in my business is I need to understand how to sell.
So right? let's have that conversation right now, because obviously the women that are in this group, they are, no matter what we can call it, shares or whatever, but the reality is we're all selling something, right? Yep. So let's have the sales conversation. So we're going to take it that there's somebody that's listening in that doesn't know what a sales conversation is. So what is a sales conversation, Aundrea?
A sales conversation is really simple. It's a conversation that finds out that someone is interested in you. It finds out what their problem is, what their need or want is, if you have a solution to match that, and if you guys are a match to work together. That's it.
And so
it leads the person to making a choice of buy or not buy. Mm-hmm. It's not pushing something on someone. It's not convincing someone. It's an open conversation that literally makes it an easy yes or an easy no.
So Larry and I, we always teach it allows someone the space to come to a natural, logical conclusion. Yes, I want to buy. No, I don't. Yes, I want to join. No, I don't.
Yep.
And so having these I love the positioning on this. We always talk about the 3 P's: positioning, posturing for a presentation that allows for them to come to that natural, logical conclusion.
Yep.
To what you're offering. And not everybody is your ideal client.
No.
Whenever you understood that, then what did you do? You just took that conversation to the market. You started sharing what you started.
Yeah, I started not being afraid of telling people what I did, because
And how did you package this up? Because sometimes that's the missing piece. Most of the time, I find women don't really know what their genius is, what their excellence is.
Yeah.
I always ladies, your excellence could be knowing how to potty train a 2-year-old in 2 weeks. Like that. I mean, do you know how many women out there would love to know how to potty train a 2-year-old? And
when I was at that phase, I so would have loved someone to help me with that, because I was getting everybody's opinion on what I should be doing as a mother, instead of an expert that goes, hey, let me break it down and make it simple for you. Right.
Yeah.
What I did with that was, it was like, oh, I'm not afraid to talk to people now, because now I'm not afraid. I didn't realize before how afraid I was of people asking me what I did and the pressure that put on me. Mm-hmm. Where it suddenly became, it was like, hey, what do you do? Hey, I help professional XYZ solve X problem. And I was like, cool. And they were like, and it relieved the pressure of just talking to people as people. Mm-hmm. Because what I didn't realize before is literally every person was prey. And I was a hunter. And literally, right, people were, and suddenly I wasn't a hunter anymore.
Yeah.
I was the hunted, right? I became the what people want, and only the people who want this and nothing else. Yeah. And if there wasn't a match, it was like, great, what's your family like? The conversation became about humanness. And if there was no reason to have a conversation, there was no reason to have a conversation. And I even had people in certain conversations, social conversations, go, well, tell me more about that, or this, that. And I went, you know what? This isn't the time for that. Let's have a one-on-one conversation about that, and we'll pivot to that another time. And I had so many people say, you know why I came to your consult, is because you didn't try and sell me immediately on the spot. You said, this isn't the space, and I'm not going to sell to you right now, because I don't even know if you're my person to sell to.
See, this right here, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in what is being said here, ladies, because this applies in every business arena. If you are in business and you're an entrepreneur, this conversation is relevant across the board. I don't care what kind of an entrepreneur you are.
I agree.
Because so many times we're taught, and especially network marketing, Aundrea, you know this, everybody, I love how you position it, because the hunter, prey, what? We are human beings. It's not that challenging, and it's not that difficult. And the more you see yourself like that, the more resistance you create with people, because it's not about getting them to do it. It's about getting them to want to do it.
Yep.
And there's a big shift in that, because now you become more attractive, and you're not looking to close somebody. Ladies,
trying
to close people.
Yeah, no.
Stop it.
No.
If I could just give you one bit, stop it.
Yeah, we don't have closing conversations. That's not what we do.
That's not a natural, logical conclusion. It's just not.
It is not. And it feels wrong. It feels slimy, right? It feels...
Gosh, how many conversations I've had with women whenever I've taken that weight off of their shoulder, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love what I'm doing now, because I don't feel icky. I don't feel like that's not me. That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
And we're putting expectations on people and creating spaces that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we don't want to.
What was the state? I think one of my most favorite ones that I was like, God, if I never hear that again, I'll be okay. Everybody within 3 feet of you should know what you do. And I'm like, no, you should know what everyone within 3 feet of you does, to find out if there's anyone in that space that is a potential, right, that has a need that you fulfill. Not that, right, that the other way around. And so it changed the dialogue with people. It changed the dialogue in business, and it became about, oh, I know, right? I knew where my client was psychologically, emotionally, et cetera, like in their moment of need.
Yeah.
And I only focused on that. Anything else, there was no trying to get people from here to there, or, right? It's nope. Here's what people are thinking or feeling, right? If you think about it, would you call a plumber to replace your garbage disposal? Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you, right? You literally, you're like, my sink is backed up and I need it, right? I need a person who, right? You don't go, well, you know, what kind of pipe are you going to use? What kind of, like, you don't ask all these crazy, right? You're like, can you fix my sink? Right? I'm a frustrated mom. I'm a frustrated business owner, right? And I need my sink working so I can cook. And so my kids, right, et cetera. And we have to think about, right, our client, our, I don't care if you're in network marketing or at business, because who you want to work with that product is not the same as who I want to work with.
Yeah.
That product, right. So if you're the mom who knows how to potty train kids in 2 weeks, you want to serve other moms who are going through potty training phase because you have commonness, right?
Yeah.
And so, right. And so that was the thing, is I learned how to know or listen to the language of, like, when people were at that point. And if that point, it became real simple. Hey, is that something you're looking for help with, or something you think you want to solve on your own? And they're like, nope, I've got this. Blah, blah. I'm like, cool. Yeah. Moving on, right? And it's asking, right, permission, position, right? Those kind of things. And so, sales became about a really easy conversation that I did a lot more listening in and a lot less talking, and only asking a few specific questions. And based on the answer, it was either take this next step or probably not going to be, not now, but in the future, right? They become a, hey, do you mind if I share some resources with you? Do you mind if I point you in a direction? And if it was, I need this, it's like, great, what, you know, then the conversation became decision making. Yeah. Right. And
so let's go. I want to ask this about, because you were talking about, okay, so it's real simple. What are your habits? What does it feel like if you change that? What's the next step? What would be the next step? Because I know that you're going to be talking about this and training this inside of the membership group.
On Thursday, we're going to talk about how to talk so your customers will listen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. Instead of telling people you're a plumber, tell people what problem you solve and who you solve it for and why. Right. Because, right. So, So anyway, keep going. Ask your question.
So I mean, so the habits, and what does that feel like to change? Because again, we're going to go back to what stops people, what keeps them from moving or taking those steps forward. And it's that thing that, like, okay, once they realize, okay, this is uncomfortable, how do they, or is that what we're going to be talking about on Thursday? But can you give them a couple of things?
So Thursday, what we'll talk about is your language, right? Language you're using, right? So we talked about the sales conversation, and we're going to talk about your pre-selling language.
Okay.
Especially in, right, if you want more people to talk to the people who will listen, right? We talk a certain way so our kids will listen. In fact, there's a book, right? How to Talk So Your Teens Will Listen. Yeah. Right. Your words, how you're using your words, right? What you're saying, you do, even our I help statement, et cetera, right? Yeah. If you think about it, so here we are 1 year later, we're all celebrating the 1 year of a 2-week lockdown, right? And here we are a year later, the whole world went online. Business could not be done face to face, right? So the whole world went online. People are inundated, right? Yeah. So how you speak and what you say will either capture the attention of your person, right? To get them interested into your funnel of interest, engaged, committed, right? Or they're going to go, nope, not me. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's okay if it's nope, not me. Cool.
Yeah. And that's the thing that, you know, people like, I think, and this is the whole thing, like whenever they get to this, because they never get to that question because they're afraid of the answer.
Yes.
And because they're afraid of the answer, that means it's personal and there's rejection behind it.
Exactly. Oh my God, you have to be, yes. If you have rejection, okay, let's be honest. If you have rejection issues, business is going to be real hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be real hard.
So some of the things that you do is that like help break those mindsets around rejection and how people perceive you. I mean, because that is a thing, right?
It is a thing.
I mean, most people don't realize they have those kind of issues. Again, it's the programming, right?
Well, if you think about it, okay, so let me tell you. So I knew I had rejection issues. I just didn't realize. I thought I dealt with them. Really, what I'd done is done a really good job making life so I didn't have to get rejected, which was corporate life. Right? I became real smart, real good, right? And so I was in demand. And then when I changed into this business world, I wasn't in demand, and my insecurities came roaring to the top.
Yeah.
Right? And so we have to, again, it's going back to a little bit, right? Everybody talks about your why. Why are you doing this? What do you want to learn? What do you want to experience?
People can't even answer that. So it doesn't, I mean, like that's like a whole nother.
Right. But it's part of the process, because otherwise what we're doing is we're kind of like, I call it, you kind of have two different personas. You're either the action, right? You watch action movies, like, the action movies, the good guy constantly moves to the next tool he needs to beat the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the horror movies where you're running away from death and hope you don't get killed and you get killed. Yeah. Right. Like literally look at yourself in your business. I had to look at myself in my business, and I literally was running hoping that I wouldn't get killed instead of until learning to ask that question. What is the sales process? What is this? Learning that, here's the next tool I need to succeed. Here's the next thing I need to learn to make a difference, right?
It reminds me of this book. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book. It's called Chase the Lion.
Oh, no. I'm going to write that down. Can I write that
down? Write it down, because it's right exactly in line with what you're talking about. Because most people want to run from the fear. Yeah. Where you're talking about turn around and changing the position and chasing after it. And so it's a biblical story, and it talks about like how to shift the fear and like you chase the lion. Like don't be afraid of the lion getting you. It's a really good book, and I don't want to give it away, but
I'm going to go read it now.
Shifting the whole mindset around how you see and perceive fear, and turning the tables on it and pursuing it. Yeah. It's really, really empowering, because you look at things completely different with a different mindset. So I love that you're sharing this. So let's, because we're getting down to the end of it. So like if the ladies watching here, because we're going to be talking again, you're going to be doing a training inside the group on Thursday, how to talk so your customers will listen to you. But what can you give them today, that they can feel like, okay, I walked away with, like, what would be some words of wisdom that you could equip them with today? Yep. You didn't talk to them another time. They never saw your face again. Like, what would you tell them? Yep. I would tell you the 3 keys to winning business are real simple. Number 1, you solve one problem for one niche. Have a focus, right? Solve one problem for one niche. You don't need to solve the whole world's problems. You don't have to solve 500 families' problems, right? Mm-hmm. Know your niche and the problem that you solve, right? Whether it's a product or a service, right? So know your niche and have one solution for one niche. Know how to have a sales conversation. Know how to have a sales process, right? It's a process. And when you have it as a process of steps, it's not personal. It's not rejection. It's, are we a match? Is this a match for them? Is this a good time for them? Right? It's a natural conversation of yes or no. Simple, right? Cool. And then marketing. At least know and understand a basic marketing strategy that you can do for 90 days to
but to be seen, heard, and understood as
Mhm.
the person who solves the problem for that niche,
Mhm.
that people can repeat and say, oh yeah, you need to talk to my friend so-and-so. You need to talk to my friend so-and-so, right? Or people are going to go, hey, I heard you say this and I need that.
Yes.
That's it. Those are the 3 keys to business. If you can have a service and a niche, have a sales process and conversation, and have a marketing strategy, you don't need anything else. You can put everything else to the side and just do that and test that for like 90 days. And that's a whole year in business nowadays.
Yeah. That's
Right.
good. That's very good. I love that.
And it's about focus. And so it lets us focus and stop trying to, right.
Mm.
We're not solving for the problem we're not solving for the whole zoo. We're just solving for that one space. So
very nice.
My thing. That's what I teach. If we don't have all of those pieces, if you are not clear in your niche and the problem, the sales is not clear and the marketing is not clear. A confused mind can't buy because a confused mind can't sell.
That's good.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, Aundrea, this has been so much fun conversing with you and getting to know you better. And I'm super excited about Thursday and what's going to happen. So, ladies, if you have not joined the She Network, definitely we want you to come inside. We do trainings like this every single week with minds and women sharing amazing excellence like this. You can go to join my She Network. You can go to myshenetwork.com and join our networking women's network that we have going on. So Aundrea, I just appreciate you taking out time and sharing your excellence with the ladies today.
Thank you.
Sharing your story, being such an inspiration. So much value. I mean, I could have continued talking to you for a long time.
We'll have more. Well, thanks for having me, Taylor. I really appreciate it. You're doing a huge service by creating this community and bringing people like me and others in as well. So it just shows the level of commitment and quality of your leadership. So,
well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to say bye to you privately. So ladies, thank you so much for being here today. I hope you have a blessed, amazing day. This is Miss Aundrea. Aundrea.
You got it. Aundrea de Leon.
De Leon and Taylor Thompson. And bye for now. Have a blessed day. Bye, ladies.
Bye, everybody.